Who were the Ornithopod dinosaurs? Welcome to the Natural History of Dinosaurs. My name is Benjamin Berger. I'm a paleontologist teaching at Utah State University in the heart of Utah's dinosaur country in Vernal. In this video, I will introduce you to perhaps one of the most successful groups of ornithischian dinosaurs, the Ornithopoda, a group of dinosaurs found globally during the Jurassic and Cretaceous periods. This group of dinosaurs is identified by a suite of characteristics. First, they have the classic ornithischian hip, the backward projection of the pubis bone. So they are members of the bird-hipped dinosaurs. Second, they have a predentary bone in front of their jaw. Like many other ornithischian dinosaurs, like the horned ceratopsian dinosaurs, in fact. Third, they have inset cheek teeth, again like many other ornithischian dinosaurs. Fourth, and this is what sets them apart from other ornithischian dinosaurs, is they have a three-toed foot, which looks like a bird foot. Hence the name for this group, which means the bird foots. Now, some of the members of the Ornithopoda have some other unique features. They tend to have dental batteries. These are where you have hundreds of replaceable teeth in the jaws, and that's what makes the Ornithopoda really expert herbivores. They also have a duck-like broad bill of the premaxilla on the skull, which gives them their common name, the duck-billed dinosaurs. Now, one other feature is that they had stiff backs, which were supported by a network of bony tendons along the neural spine of the vertebra. Now, the story of ornithopods and their initial discovery is closely linked to the story of another feature found in the dinosaur Iguanodon, one of the first dinosaurs ever discovered. Now, this here is the right hand of Iguanodon, and you'll notice that the first digit is composed of a claw, a large stubby claw, while the second, third, and fourth digits are weight-bearing digits, and the fifth digit is a grasping digit. Now, that claw on the first digit has an interesting story because it was one of the first dinosaur bones ever discovered. During the early 1800s, many fossils were being discovered by Mary Anning, the first paleontologist to work in England. They were sensational discoveries, and a number of amateur fossil sleuths began searching other places in southern England for fossils. Now, with his wife, Gillian Mantell began collecting fossils from an area south of London, but not along the coast where Mary Anning was hunting fossils. Mantell became interested in this area because several strange bones had turned up at a rock quarry in what is today the western part of High Weald, which is part of the Area of Outstanding Natural Beauty area south of London, near the town of Cuckfield. Now, during the 1820s, he and his wife would regularly go out and collect fossils from this area. These were terrestrial beds composed of sediments transported by rivers and streams. While Mary Anning was collecting in the marine units of Jurassic and Cretaceous ages, Gillian Mantell was collecting from terrestrial units, and so he stumbled upon some of the first dinosaurs. Now, Gillian Mantell was a local doctor, and as he was going out and collecting fossils, he became more and more obsessed with these fossils that he was finding. And he started growing a nice collection of strange bones. And what he ended up doing is describing these fossils in several papers, and he then sent copies of these papers to famous scientists and even to the King of England. Now, many of these people dismissed his fossils as being rhino teeth or large iguana lizards or something else. Now, realize that at this time, no one had yet proposed that animals went extinct. So everyone who was reading Mantell's papers and his books, they were trying to identify it based on living animals, and no one had yet seen what a dinosaur even looked like. So one of the strangest fossils that Mantell found was a large claw. Now Mantell contended that this claw was too large to be a claw of a lizard, and he can basically propose that it was actually a horn. This figure is the first reconstruction of a dinosaur, with this bone featured on top of the nose, like a rhino. Now, Mantell's discoveries were not taken seriously, and despite opening a museum in England, Mantell had to work at his regular job as a doctor to make ends meet, and few people were willing to pay for his museum submissions. Other scientists often mocked Mantell's discoveries despite trying to get a peek at his newest finds. In 1841, poor Mantell was run over by a carriage, and this damaged his back, and it prevented him from doing any more fossil collecting. And his pain was so excruciating that he controlled it by taking opium, and he ended up dying of an overdose 11 years later. Now, it was around this time in the 1840s and 1850s that the sculptor Benjamin Waterhouse Hawkins was contracted out to sculpt statues of these strange new fossil discoveries that had been found around London for a 1851 great expedition of the works of industry of all nations, which was sort of like a World's Fair of the day. Now, the City of London constructed the Crystal Palace. This was a giant glass enclosed building to host the event, with prehistoric creatures that would be found in the surrounding gardens sculpted by Benjamin Waterhouse Hawkins. Now, at the time, Hawkins did not have much to go on in reconstructing Mantell's dinosaurs. The bones were jumbled, they were disarticulated, and even with Richard Owen having named the group Dinosauria, reconstructing the dinosaurs was a challenge. But Hawkins knew one thing: these creatures were giant. Now, before the event, the top paleontologists of England were invited to a special dinner inside the half-finished sculpture, including Richard Owen, George Cuvier, and William Buckland. But sadly, not Gillian Mantell. Now, Hawkins' sculptures of Iguanodon can still be found in London, and they are nothing like the dinosaurs we know today. The creature was made to look like a cross between a rhino and a lizard. The claw of the hand was placed as a prominent horn on the nose. Now, in 1868, Benjamin Hawkins traveled to North America to come to the United States. He was commissioned by the Central Park Commission of New York to add sculptures to the newly constructed Central Park in Manhattan, which was set up as a park in the 1850s. However, under the direction of corrupt politicians, the sculptures were destroyed. However, this image of Hawkins' studio in America shows the new image of dinosaurs based on new discoveries made in New Jersey of a closely related dinosaur called Hadrosaurus. The hind legs were longer than the forelegs, and Hawkins reconstructed the creature to look more like a kangaroo than a rhino or lizard. This is the first mount of a dinosaur ever assembled using fossil bones, although no complete skeleton was yet known. The mounted skeleton of Hadrosaurus, a dinosaur discovered in the Cretaceous rocks of New Jersey, does still survive, and was for many years placed in the collections of the Academy of Science in Philadelphia. Now, today, the mounted skeleton of Hadrosaurus exhibits the modern standard pose with a straight back and a tail and a new updated skull, rather than the one that Hawkins had to sculpt for it. It's on display at Drexel University in Philadelphia. Now, while Hawkins' dinosaur fossils were being destroyed in the United States, European scientists discovered the most complete Iguanodon dinosaurs in Belgium. Now, Louis Delot described 30 completely articulated Cretaceous Iguanodon dinosaurs from a coal mine in Bern-Saart, Belgium. These large dinosaurs are on display in the original kangaroo-style mounted pose at the Royal Belgian Institute of Natural Sciences in Brussels. With these 30 articulated skeletons, paleontologists realized that the horn was in fact a claw of the hand, giving Iguanodon a distinct thumbs up. Today, the Ornithopod group of dinosaurs includes about 100 members, most of which are known from the late Cretaceous, but the group does have a fossil record that goes back to the Middle Jurassic. We don't have enough time to go through all of these dinosaurs, but I thought it would be nice to introduce you to some of the dinosaurs that belong to this group. The Middle Jurassic ornithopods were rather small, chicken-sized dinosaurs, and one of the earliest ornithopods is the Chinese dinosaur Agiliosaurus. Its broad nasal bones and a unique premaxilla show some characteristics that would be found in the later ornithopod dinosaurs. Another early ornithopod is the dinosaur Hexinluiosaurus, about the size of a turkey. Both Agiliosaurus and Hexinluiosaurus are basal ornithopods, but some paleontologists put them outside of the ornithopod clade. Another primitive ornithopod is found in the Morrison Formation here in North America, the donkey-sized dinosaur Ornithischian, which is from the late Jurassic, and the slightly larger Dryosaurus, another mid-sized dinosaur from the late Jurassic. Similar-looking dinosaurs are known from Europe and Africa, also during the Jurassic. This indicates that dinosaurs were moving freely between the continents just before their breakup as of the continents in the Cretaceous. One of the most common ornithopod dinosaurs from the late Jurassic is Camptosaurus. A number of these dinosaurs have been found here in Vernal in the Morrison Formation. Now, Camptosaurus is the first dinosaur to show the classic thumb spike that we saw with Iguanodon. Now, Camptosaurus is well known from the Jurassic of Utah and was the first really big ornithopod dinosaur, about the size of a large buffalo. Its caudal vertebrae form a classic herringbone shape that likely helped support a stiff tail. The larger size also meant that Camptosaurus would sometimes support its weight with its forelegs. This is a feature that we see in Cretaceous ornithopod dinosaurs. Now, Iguanodon is known today from many fossil skeletons, including those 30 skeletons from Belgium. Iguanodon was a large ornithopod dinosaur from the Cretaceous with that large, distinct thumb spike. It likely used that thumb spike to defend itself from big, large carnivores that might come at it. Now, Iguanodon has recently been divided into a number of different genera, including Doliodon and Mantellosaurus, named after Mantell. The body plan of all of these are very similar. They're large-bodied, duck-billed, with duck-billed skull, semi-bipedal dinosaurs from the early Cretaceous. In Asia during the early Cretaceous, the dinosaur Probactosaurus resembled the European forms, but the early Cretaceous was a time that the continents were starting to separate out. And if you go to Africa, which was separate from Europe and Asia, we see the bizarre early Cretaceous Oranosaurus, which developed these large thoracic spines that likely supported a hump, similar to what you find in like large buffalo and camels today. Now, in North America and in Utah in particular, there are a number of large ornithopod dinosaurs that resemble these other forms, including Hippodraco, Eolambia, and Cedroestes, which are known from fairly fragmentary skeletons from the Cedar Mountain Formation of Utah. The small and slender Thanatosaurus from the early Cretaceous of North America is known from more complete skeletons in the Cloverleaf Formation of Montana and Wyoming, but it's found all the way south to Texas. The late Cretaceous of North America and Asia was a time of really large and diverse ornithopod dinosaurs, most of which are placed in a single family, the Hadrosauridae, and divided into two subfamilies, the Hadrosauridae and the Lamptosauridae, based on their skull shape. Now, indeed, the late Cretaceous ornithopod group of dinosaurs were weird. They developed many different styles of skull shapes, from rounded crests to long pipe-like skulls. This diversity in head crests is thought to help species distinguish fellow species and used in mating displays. One of the most famous and best known hadrosaurid dinosaurs is the giant Edmontosaurus. This massive dinosaur was as large as an elephant and roamed across North America at the end of the Cretaceous. Beautiful skin impressions are known of Edmontosaurus, showing a rough, rhino-like skin on these creatures. Cladosaurus, Ankylosaurus, Triachodon, and Teleotitan are all considered Edmontosaurus today, although those old names appear in old literature and on old museum displays. A close relative to Edmontosaurus is the large dinosaur Merasaura, which is known from Montana and in which discoveries of baby Monosaura and egg nests have been made by Jack Horner. Now, Merasaura is the mother lizard, is well known in the late Cretaceous of the Two Medicine Formation of Montana. Now, another hadrosaur that you see from North America is Kentrosaurus, which is also known as Caryptosaurus, which extended across North America from the Mexican border all the way up to Canada. It is different than Edmontosaurus and Merasaura in having a large nasal opening, which some people speculate formed a inflatable sac of skin, similar to what you see in bullfrogs, although this is only conjecture. One of the most interesting Lambdosaurian members is Ctenosaurus from Asia. It has a long spine horn, which various artists have reconstructed in odd ways. A recent study by Pedro Marquez and Wagner showed that this horn is actually part of the nasal bone, which is missing the front half of the bone. And with a more complete specimen, this dinosaur would have a crest, like most other Lambdosaurian dinosaurs. This study highlights that speculation of what these crests were like must get rectified with the actual knowledge that we have of the fossil specimens. And sometimes our imaginations of horns and crests get in the way of what these creatures actually look like. Corythosaurus is another Lambdosaurian hadrosaur from the late Cretaceous of Canada. It has a broad, rounded crest. In Lambdosaurus, the crest is more lobe-shaped and toward the front of the skull. Saurolophus is another widespread North American and Asian hadrosaur dinosaur with a crest. And then there's the mighty Parasaurolophus with its large crested head, which served as a convoluted nasal passage for this dinosaur. Now, we'll spend some time with Parasaurolophus in another video. Recently, a baby Parasaurolophus was discovered in southern Utah from the Kaparowitz Formation. Parasaurolophus was a widespread hadrosaur dinosaur known from several good late Cretaceous sites here in North America. Now, not all ornithopod dinosaurs in the late Cretaceous were big dinosaurs. Little ornithopods also lived alongside these giants, including the strange little dinosaur Archaeosaurus, which is a basal ornithopod but known from the late Cretaceous of Canada. And then perhaps is the most bizarre of the ornithopod dinosaurs, the little burrowing dinosaur from Montana and Idaho, Oryctodromus, which is a small turkey-sized dinosaur. Oryctodromus has been found in little burrows with skeletons that show a large acromion process on the scapula that would allow for strong muscles in the forearms for scratch digging, as well as probably nesting underground. So the bird-foot dinosaurs were a diverse group of bird-hipped ornithischian dinosaurs that really became diverse during the late Cretaceous and got really big. They were widespread, but during the Cretaceous they became specialized on each of the continents. Now the key thing that I want you to be able to do is to identify the diagnostic characteristics of the Ornithopoda so that you can identify members of this group.